we have is a leaked draft. We don't have a final.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I agree
say
on the matter.
But just to be clear, the state of Mississippi, you're not going to then target IUD or Plan B, which are methods of birth control that might not allow a fertilized egg to be implanted. And this is not a theoretical construct. This is not the state of Louisiana, which I recognize is a neighboring state, not your state. I mean, they're talking about not only criminally charging girls and women who get abortions as being committing homicide, but they're also talking about defining the moment of conception as fertilization, which would theoretically, if this were to become the law of Louisiana, and it is not yet, mean that murder, if you use an IUD, you are committing murder theoretically. So it's not, I'm not making this up. These are the conversations going on in legislatures in your area. But so just to be clear, you have no intention of seeking to ban IUDs or Plan B?
That is not what we're focused on at this time. We're focused on looking at see what the court allows for. The bill that is before the court is a 15-week ban. We believe that the overturning of Roe is the correct decision by the court, and so in Mississippi we don't have laws on the books that would lead to arresting individuals or anything along those lines.
You mean not arresting girls or women, but you would arrest doctors?
Well, certainly, I don't think that that you're going to see doctors performing abortions if we have a state statute which says that they are not allowable, except for those exceptions that we've made.
You've just said that you believe life begins at conception. If there is legislation brought to you to ban contraception, would you sign it?
Well, I don't think that's going to happen in Mississippi. I'm sure they'll have those conversations in other states.
But you're not answering the question.
As is always the case with things, well, that's always the case. There's so many things that we can talk about. What the next movement in the pro-life movement, in my view, Chuck, is simple, and that is we must prove that being pro-life is not just about anti-abortion. What we want to do next is we want to continue to focus on the two things that are very important, and that is ensuring that those expectant mothers have the resources that they need. That's why in Mississippi this year we invested significant additional resources in pregnancy resource centers, and that we're working to build a system. We have 37 of those in Mississippi, and we're working to build a system throughout our state to ensure that every expectant mother has access to the information and the education that they need. The second piece of the equation and the second piece of the next phase of the pro-life movement is we've got to make sure that we make it easier on those babies that are born, either through the potential for adoptive services. We've got to make it easier for adoptions. We've got to find resources for adoptions. We've got to also make sure that we improve our foster care system. In Mississippi, for instance, we invested over $100 million combined of our ARPA funds as well as other state funds to improve technology at our Department of Human Services, at our Child Protection Services, so that those babies that are not adopted, that end up in our foster care system, that we care for them, and we do so in a way that recognizes the importance of the...
This is Republican Tate Reeves, governor of Mississippi. When asked if he would support bans on contraception, he said, "That is not what we're focused on at this time." He seems to be indicating that he plans to focus on banning contraception at some point in time in the future. Should we believe what Republicans say on this issue? Here's a reminder of what all of the justices that support overturning Roe v. Wade said about it to convince Congress to confirm them as Supreme Court justices.
I don't have any agenda. I have no agenda to try to overrule Casey. I have an agenda to stick to the rule of law.
As a judge, it is an important precedent of the Supreme Court. By it, I mean Roe v. Wade and Planned Parenthood versus Casey. Been reaffirmed many times.
Roe versus Wade, decided in 1973, is a precedent of the United States Supreme Court. It was reaffirmed in Casey in 1992 and in several other cases. So a good judge will consider it as precedent of the United States Supreme Court, worthy as treatment of precedent like any other.
Roe versus Wade is an important precedent of the Supreme Court. It was decided in 1973. The Supreme Court has reaffirmed the decision. When a decision is challenged and it is reaffirmed, that strengthens its value.
I believe the Constitution protects the right to privacy. and I have no reason or agenda to prejudge the issue.
What would he have done if he'd asked?
Senator, I would have walked out the door.
We hold Republicans accountable for their repetitive lies, their opposition to equality, and their attempts to disrupt our democracy. Support independent media by liking and subscribing. We also release many articles per day on our website. You'll find the link in the description.